the ribeye's versatility and profitability. So there's specific reasons why we do things. So this is a ribeye. We have the cap removed. I'm going to quickly move the ribs. Yes, I did a little pre-work just to make sure we had time. I'm going to take the ribs off. So now I'm not going to throw this out. I'm actually going to utilize this. So in this portion there is meat and there is bone. Right? So if I cut out all the meat in between the ribs, that's another product I can use. I can take this, cut it in nice small chunks and braise this and do like a barbecued whole beef meat, rib meat. Fantastic. I could grind this up in a grinder and add it to my hamburger mix. I could use it and enhance my sauce. Okay? All the bones, I always like to find the people I gross out. This, what I'm going to do with this, when I throw the bones out, stop. Right? So now I'm generating some side products that I can utilize and extend the yield on my investment. So far so good? Now, this is our actual whole ribeye here. I'm going to clean up all the intercostal muscle. Again, you could grind all that up. And what I want to show you is there's two main ends to the ribeye. We have one is, if you look up, you can see a solid muscle on that side. You're going to see that solid muscle. And then on this side, you can see three distinct muscles. We have the cap, we have the complexor muscle, and then we have the eye of the ribeye. So those three together give you the ribeye. Okay? So I'm going to show you some different cuts you can pull out of here. First, I'm going to take this silver skin off. This is silver skin because it is, we're not that smart in the kitchen. Silver, it's also called reticulin, if you like. And it is a type of connective tissue that's found in large muscle groups. We have it as well. You do not want to eat this. It is the chewing gum of meat. You could not break that down. Cooking makes it harder. Some cultures make ties out of this, bows, different things. But it does have a purpose. You do that? You watch too much Duck Dynasty, don't you? So we want to get rid of the silver skin. Just slipping my knife right underneath, following it out one way, flipping it around, following it out the other way. From this loin side, I'm going to take a few cuts. This is, contrary to what you probably think, this is not another zombie apocalypse tool. This is called a scimitar, and it's a traditional knife for cutting steaks out of larger cuts. So I'm going to cut two nice steaks out of here. And that should look quite familiar as a ribeye steak. So that's one cut you can get out of there. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start seaming out some of the meats, and I'm going to separate the cap from the rest of the meat. You should be able to do most of it with just your hand. You'll see butchers use their hands quite a bit in seaming. All right, there's our ribeye cap with the complexor muscle still attached right there. Ribeye cap, complexor muscle. Another product from the ribeye. This goes for about 40 bucks a pound in Chicago. You could probably make most of your money back just on selling this. Now we have what's left is the ribeye, what's called the ribeye center. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Removing external fat. There's two basic types of fat in meat. We have intramuscular fat, meaning inside the meat, and that's what we call marbling. See, like that, it's actually inside the muscles. And then there's intermuscular fat, which is in between muscle sets. And here you can see a lot of this has this big fat in between muscle sets versus intramuscular, meaning inside the muscle. Okay? As you remember from your reading, all meat needs to be inspected. Meat does not need to be graded. Remember reading that in there? Grading is optional, and it costs more money. It costs quite a bit of money to get your meat graded. What do you know about the types of quality grading in beef? Prime. Yep. Those are the top ones, right? Prime is the most expensive, and it has the most marbling. Then choice, then select, then it just goes downhill from there. Cut and cannery, dog food. McDonald's.
So marbling is good?
Mm-hmm. They're still edible.
Yeah, marbling's good. Marbling's good, right?
Marbling, most people feel like marbling is a good thing.
Yes.
Prime has the most marbling, then choice, then select. So if that's any indication, it's a good sign. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this silver skin here. Do you guys know what Kobe beef is? Kobe beef is from Japan. It has to come from Japan, bless you. It cannot be grown in the United States. It's like champagne. You can't call it Kobe beef if it's not from Japan, from Kobe. And it is a highly, highly marbled meat. And the strain of cattle they use is called Wagyu. It's a very specific strain of cattle. And they just put on marbling like no, they're like the sumo wrestlers of beef. Very, very rich and fatty. So I'm just cleaning up any silver skin, excess fat that I'm not pleased with. I'm not going to trim it down too much. Now I want to cut a few things out of this. I'm going to cut a few. These would be center cut ribeye fillets. So now we can do, so these are a big old steak, right? Now we can even go in here and cut some nice center cut steaks out of these. And you can imagine these being used with a surf and turf or a smaller portion, right? Very nice. Cut a couple more. You guys hungry? Okay. So then now we have two different types. Okay. Now I can also further take this and I can split this right in half. This way, lengthwise. And I'm going to jet net it, which is with this machine right here. Just going to slip this right through here. Boop. Really gives you a fast netting job. And now we could serve these as either roasts or carving station for a wedding, Sunday brunch. Versatility. What could I possibly do with this steak?
Why does that net make it different for what you could use it for?
Well, the only thing is that it holds it together and keeps it. It'll make you keep it round as you cook it. What you're talking about? You take this and you cut some nice big steaks with the netting on there, and you can cook with the netting right on there, and it holds it all together. So it has a nice. See how much higher they are? That netting just keeps it nice and its form and shape when you cook it. So there are petite ribeye fillets. You guys are hungry, right? You said? We'll just cook this big bag one too. All right, so that is, and then you could get steaks out of that center cut. So imagine if this is, we can get this for down to about $6 a pound. Tenderloin runs in the $15 to $20 a pound. So if you could sell a cut of beef that is more flavorful than tenderloin for less money, you're doing well. That's the job of the kitchen, is to try and find unique ways to prepare things so they can make money for the establishment. So far we've got traditional ribeye steaks, center cut ribeyes, petite ribeyes, a roast. Right, we've got a nice roast here we can cook off whole and do it as a carving station. Here's the most expensive cut. We haven't even gotten to the most expensive cut yet, which is right here. This is the ribeye cap. So from here, I'm going to, again, trim off excess fat. So there's a lot of fat on here.
When you go to the butcher, do they already take off all the fat?
They normally do, yeah. What's that?
Like how you know how to do it and everything, can't you just save money?
Okay, so quick. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, having the skill and knowledge to know what to do could save you, exactly, save you a lot of money. And that's what I'm trying to get across, is the knowledge of how to do this and the skill. You just have to justify whether the time in your kitchen is worth that, if you have the outlets for these products. Okay? So this is the ribeye cap. Again, it goes for $40 a pound, just for this. And I'm going to take off that silver skin. It is, the market demands it, and it is, wait till you taste it. It's probably the third most tender piece in the animal, and it's also, in my opinion, it's the most flavorful. And there's, yeah, it's kind of like so there's our complexor muscle. We'll put that stuff. It's good.
Yeah, but you said $40 in Chicago.
Right.
Is that everywhere?
Chicago's high end, so that's probably max. So you might not be able to get that much in Flagstaff. I don't know if you know the market probably couldn't bear it, but you could certainly use it as a differentiation point. Maybe you're using it in conjunction with a surf and turf, or introducing people to a new cut of meat, but you're only serving 3 ounces of it. So, do you guys know hanger steak?
Yes.
Hanger steak? 10 years ago, nobody knew what hanger steak was. It was, another name for hanger steak? It's called butcher steak, because the butcher was always the one that took it home. But it became very popular because it was inexpensive, and chefs figured out a way to make it really flavorful, and people got to really know it. Now the price for hanger steak is through the roof. So here we have a beautiful ribeye cap. And what can you do with this now? Well, a couple things, a couple ideas. What I like to do is I will pound this out just a little bit, and I'll make a mixture of sweated onions, breadcrumbs, parsley, and smoked clams, chopped fresh smoked clams. Mix all that together, put it on here, roll that up, tie it and sear it, and slice medallions out of it. Like a roulade, or any Italians in here, braciole, right? It's a traditional style. You can also just serve this as steaks, a non-traditional cut steak. So after I get this cleaned up, I'll portion it just so you can taste it, and then I'll need 4 people to cook it off. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah, so you 4 come on up. And you can decide 2 to grill and 2 to saute. Can you make sure that's on? So I'll demo a little bit how to do it. So here's another cut you can do. So this would be, you go to Chicago, you get a beautiful ribeye cap steak like that. That is, there's nothing quite like that.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Ribeye cap, yeah, it's so flavorful. So what we're going to do, waste not, want not. So we have all these different cuts here. We've got bones for stock. We've got trim for sauces or grind, right? For grind or barbecued meat. We've got traditional ribeye steaks. We've got center cut ribeyes, petite center cut ribeyes. We've got a roast, and then we've got ribeye cap. So that's a from one primal. That is a lot of different cuts that you can get out of there. A lot of different textures, a lot of different shapes, different sizes. You can spec whatever in the kitchen, whatever you want in there. That's a really healthy thing to have in your kitchen is variety. What's going to happen now is